So here he is, the man himself, Declan Betts. You may know him from Facebook and his very detailed and very timely angler profiles in lockdown. You may know him as Wilfred if you've known him for a while, or you may just know him as the guy in the messy, scruffy red nitro that's just as regularly towed as it is ploughing along at 80 kilometres an hour, mate. Welcome to the show, mate, and how good does it feel for Victoria to be back on the program and winning a line again?
Oh, it's been a long time. A lot of time doing too much work and not enough play. That's definitely for sure.
So in your life, mate, you weren't like some of us that got sent to work from home on basically Australia's biggest 6-week bludge. Your work got busier. What do you do?
Yeah, so I retail nursery, and because everybody's stuck at home and got stuff all else to do, they've looked at their backyard and gone nuts. And and a lot of people seem to just treat it as a social outing to turn up at our work, and
right,
where it's been off the charts. So
there you go.
Can't knock it back, but it's not exactly what any of us expected, but we'll take it.
Yeah, that's right, mate. Look, nowadays it seems like if you've got a well-paying job and you can turn up 5 days a week and get a paycheck, it's happy days for you. But I suppose you miss the ability to go and let off a bit of steam on the weekend, mate. What's your local for when you want to go for a quick fish?
Yeah, so our local for bream fishing, nearest one's about an hour. So yeah, we were a bit worried that we might have been capped on kilometres or something, and a lot of things would have been out of our reach, but thankfully we're going to have a free run at it. So yeah, either the Hopkins at Warrnambool, the Curdy's at Peterborough, or a little system called the Air, which is a bit further towards between Lavis Hill and Apollo Bay.
Yep.
And also we've got Purrumbete half an hour down the road, which contains some of the biggest trout probably in the country, to be honest.
Yep, and because it's in your backyard, you probably don't fish it as much as you should.
Trout are fickle creatures, so when they're on, and when they're not, forget about them.
Nice, mate. Tell us a bit about your old nickname, Wilfred. I seem to remember the old show on Australian-produced comedy on ABC, I think it was. Who gave you that one?
Yeah, the man whose boat I'm sitting in here, I think, somehow. I think Dan came up with that one, to be honest. Probably the ability to look a little bit shaggy at times, to be a little bit, loose at times, and just seemed to fit the mould apparently, and that sort of stuck pretty well, to be honest.
Well, mate, you may have cut the hair, but the nickname sort of stayed, didn't it? And we know in the cutaways here, we've got the photo that you put up the other night with the superimposed one. Mate, it's nailed it right on the head, because let's face it, you don't stop in at the barbershop every week on the way home to get a nice little trim up.
No, it's summer and it's winter. Yeah.
That's good. That's old-fashioned. That's real 70s old-fashioned school, isn't it?
That's right. You keep the ears warm in winter, and if you can, you do. If you can grow it, well, I can't see why not.
Mate, let's talk about, I've probably banged on about this a little bit much recently, but I loved doing your highlights from I think it was the second day of the first Gippsland event for ABT this year. And, of course, you only buttoned on the camera after the fight was nearly done, and we saw some footage, and we're looking at it here of a bream that you're going spectacularly light on, just getting away with a final lunge, probably taking the last little bit of strength out of your line. And we've all had the moment, down on the front knee, hand on the head, and it made a great meme, which was, should have gone to Holland's, mate. Just take us through that decision-making process there, mate. I know that what would make you catch, an awesome bag in a spot one day and said, mate, there's no way that's going to work the next day?
Yeah, so Holland's is one of those places that if you try and figure it out, you're probably pretty stupid. So I've decided that I'll just stop even trying from here on in. Particularly on that day, the water was really pumping in from the Lake King Victoria side through towards Wellington, and it was just filthy what was coming through. And I thought, well, the wind's going to keep up like that all night. It's going to keep pushing that shit through. And I thought, I just don't see it recovering, And a few people sort of locally have always said that it'll turn it to pus, and it looked like it. And even when I got my last couple of fish on that, I think it was the last, I needed one more, and I went right back up with not enough time to go, really, because I pushed right down the bottom, man. And I found just what I thought was a bit of cleaner water, and went clunk and my non-motor went clunk, and I thought, yep, it's definitely part of the play. It needs to be clean, and I think all of those things just sort of ran through my head, and I'd seen what was going on in some parts of the Nico, and I thought, oh yeah, I reckon I can rack something out of that, and it proved to be fairly incorrect.
So I suppose, Declan, the moral of the story is, and this is why the meme happened, it's like, always go to Holland's. Should have gone to Holland's mean always go to Holland's. And I think you should turn it into a movement. Occupy Holland's. That's got to be
it. We see a lot of people come and a lot of people go. A lot of people try, a lot of people fail, and a lot of us who think we know what we're doing still fail. So it's just a hell of a lot of fun, to be honest, to fish up there. It's crazy, and that's what I like about it. And it's just the simplest thing is we've all caught fish on flats. You can do it hand over fist forever and a day, and you don't lose too many of them. But Holland's, it's win loss. It's you against fish, and after you've caught enough fish in your life, I think there'd be very few guys that would say to you that that's not the pinnacle of enjoyment in fishing. Is just where they can win and you can lose. That's
hand-to-hand combat.
Yep, absolutely. So, I mean, some people have the school of thought in tournaments that it's not necessarily percentage play, and probably right. But at the end of the day, it's all about fun, and the caliber's there. And, look, I've probably learned a few lessons. I actually did it 2 years in a row, if you really wanted to be honest. The previous year was a really shitty weather forecast, and I ended up taking Wally's boat, and Wally took mine because it was being a bit cranky as usual. And I sort of neglected to put extra fuel in it that night, and I'm sitting up the Mitchell and I'm just fishing the edges, and I'm looking out going, I could be there. I could actually be there, and I could be doing something about it. And that was probably even ruder than this one in a lot of ways, to be honest. So anyway, I actually was probably seriously a chance to, I think if I'd got 4 fish, I would have got to second in that comp the year before. So, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, we hope that you learn from all of these collective experiences.
Probably not.
We can give you a tattoo, Occupy Holland's, on the arm, all right? I know you've kept a lot of us entertained during the lockdowns, the various lockdowns all over Australia with your angler profiles. ABT is very heavy on the techniques and the results, but we sometimes miss a little bit of the backstory about the people, and you brought that to a lot of people, mate. And it was a commitment, and well done on not making it open-ended, because you now understand that just putting one piece of information together a day actually probably takes a little bit more organisation than a quick Facebook message, mate. What was the motivation, and were you shocked with how successful it was?
Yeah, definitely shocked. Can't deny that. I think the motivation was I've always probably written a little bit of a story for the people on my Facebook at the end of a tournament, and people seem to have enjoyed that. It's not massively long, but it sort of gets the gist of things, and it's typically offbeat. That's just usually what I like to do, because I think we've all read plain words, and I like to make it a bit more interesting. And I think I did one of something or other, might have been a first comp as a boater or something like that, can't remember. Yeah. And I sort of did that on my own Facebook, and then I was sitting around on a Sunday afternoon thinking, is this what it's going to be like? We're going to be stuck inside doing this and that. And I thought, geez, that'd be good. Maybe I could do some profiles, and I've got to get the right people and make it interesting, and, and give people something to do. And I sort of thought, try that. And then obviously I sort of ran it past Rob Nishaw on the page, and then I ran it past you, and you were fantastically kind enough to knock it out in 30 seconds flat pretty much, and got the ball rolling with, the sort of thing that people wanted to read. And my blurb at the start of that was fairly short and sweet. And I think the blurb at the next one was fairly short and sweet. And then it got a little bit longer and a little bit longer. And at times I was a bit scared that I might have overshadowed the players, I suppose, if you want to put it that way. And then, so I started off writing a little bit about what it was like to be stuck inside and all those sorts of things. And, and then I sort of started seeing a way to link the people I was writing about, and, just the angle that I thought that I could come at them from, because you get a bunch of different people of differing levels of knowledge, for me personally, where, somebody like Alex Greisdorf, for instance, deserved to be in it, but he lives on the other side of the country, so nice for people to get a chance to see who he is and what he's about, because that wouldn't normally occur, but at the same time, because I've never been to WA, I just messaged him out of the blue. He was happy to do it. And, that's one example. So with Roscoe, for instance, I had to go through the Facebook page for their teams, and Cody pretty much must have pushed a few buttons and kept on him. And, that was the one I waited the longest for, and it was probably just that little bit of icing, because he's, he's all, as good as he is, it's also, he's pretty busy, and to try and get him pinned down was not so easy. So, I was pretty thankful when that came over my desk on pretty much the Thursday night of the last 4 days or something like that. So, and yes, it's easy to write. I threw a few to my mates early on, and they knocked him out, and I sort of kept on spreading it round and round, and then I started sort of thinking who deserves, or which angle, and it just snowballed, I suppose.
Mate, it's good. It was good gear, and we really enjoyed it, mate. It was great for us. The question I've got is, did you type it all on an iPhone, or did you use a computer?
No, that was all on the desktop. So
good boy.
I sent them out in Messenger. They came back, so I could pretty much copy them, format it on the desktop, and write my piece on top of it, and then differing levels of spelling and punctuation from differing people. So I made a few fine-tuning moments for a few people, and everybody looked all right. So not naming any names, it's all good.
No, it's all good, mate. You've got a real future in editing, mate, because they all came through great. I don't think I picked up any typos in them all. And when you're a publishing person for decades, first thing you see is all the typos. So Ricky did a great job. What I want to finish off with tonight, though, is I want you to explain to me, if you were going to just go to Holland's and fish one technique, I want you to take our viewers through the cast, the lure, the technique that you use at Holland's that gets your blood pumping. Like, explain the lure and the rod and the reel and tackle and the cast, and explain to me what happens when the big 1.6er just sucks it down.
Yeah, right. So essentially, probably it's a Z-Man grub, usually on a, what is it, it's a 3/32 nail bomb. Yep. Just because of the weedless aspect. People will do different things, weedless an eighth or a bit heavier or whatever they particularly like. I know Tristo ran an open jig head up there a couple of years back, which we all found very interesting. And it's basically you punch it in as tight as you feel game and cast as well as you can, and just wait on it. And when you feel the tick, you just get into it and launch and give no quarter, basically. It's a real good test of knowing what your line strengths are, what they break at. There's going to be fish that will instantly take you in the wrong spot and break you straight away. Like, that's something we've accepted as part and parcel of fishing that place.
Is that because of the barnacles on the snags?
Oh, look, it's all of that. I think it's the barnacles. I think it's like what you see on top is just not even a reflection of what's underneath. I'd say a lot of it is old sharp growth. I've never put the scuba gear on, but to have a look down there. But it's pretty ugly, I'd say. And you do have to keep a constant eye on your actual leader, just for wear, from being in there and hitting that sort of stuff repetitively. Sometimes you look at it and go, oh yeah, geez, because it only takes one nick in the wrong spot, and you're on a hiding to nothing then, because they're at an advantage for sure. So probably actually used the Samurai 252 in particular of late, which is a bit bigger than the little 101s and 181s, has a little bit more balls to it, even the 302 as well. You may as well not take the knife to the gunfight. You may as well get some sort of cannon up here, and probably something with a little bit more speed, so a 2500 or a 2510, a little bit less of the 2506 finesse sort of stuff that I personally enjoy using. It's just, leaders, pick your choice. You can run 8, you can run 10, you can run 6. No, you can't run. Well, some people have run for, but that's
Suicidal.
Yeah, pretty foolish. I mean, at the end of the day, you got to find a way to have some control. You got to find a way to get the bite, and you got to find a way to stop them. So it's a real balancing act as to what you're comfortable with. And yeah, I guess again, when it comes to that old saying of having caught enough fish, that if you do practice things and go, well, okay, this is what hurt I can put on such and such a leader, because you don't care that whilst you're social fishing, you lose a fish. You learn a hell of a lot more. There's no doubt about that. So that was something I did, a fair while back. And at times you actually forget it. You don't fish 3 pound for a while, and then you forget what hurt you can put on 3 pound, and you don't fish 4 pound for a while, or you fish 6 for a while, and you sort of. So yeah, it's kind of interesting. You just got to do a little refresh course occasionally when it doesn't count, and so when it does count, but you're switched on enough and you're confident what you're going to do. But also that comes down to your knots. You know, if you're breaking knots off leaders or you're breaking knots at terminals, well, yeah, you want to be confident that all of that's going to hold together. And yeah, I think that just comes from too long spec fishing every other weekend.
Yeah, mate. No, look, it's a great part of the world. We always feel privileged to fish it when we drive in from out of town. We all enjoy fishing the place, mate, and we're really jealous that you Victorians get to experience that quality of fishing, because I looked at the results this year, and I think we did have bigger bags come out of, on average, we had more big bags come out of Gippy than Tassie. You know, everyone gave it a red hot go at Tassie, and Tassie had a big average size fish, but the real dinosaurs this year came from Gippsland, so it was good to see.
Yeah, it definitely did happen, didn't it? I think Tassie probably suffered a little bit with the moisture that came down about 2 or 3 days beforehand the Derwent comp. I reckon that might have changed things up a little bit, but and also that pre-fish on the Derwent was pretty impressive. A lot of people just looking at you and nudging, wink, wink, geez, I had some fun today, and you're like, come the first day of the tournament, you went, yeah, you all had too much fun yesterday.
Yeah. There could have been 1,000 fish come in on that day, who knows, and that always puts the brakes on a little bit. So
it does.
Awesome, mate. Well, mate, we really appreciate the time and effort you put into doing it tonight, mate. We know that the technology back end was a little bit sideways, but we got there in the end, mate. Again, thanks for keeping us entertained with your angler profiles, and we hope that you continue to remain busy and you Victorians enjoy this fishing gig that got going now. Thanks very much, Wilfred.
Cheers. Thank you.